Hi everyone, welcome back. This is a 20 by 20 inch canvas. I've got some papers there that I'm going to swipe with. You've guessed it, I've got my black base, it's Lamp Black by Amsterdam, and my Pearlescent paints, all of the colours of the Pearlescent paints. So, I'm going to create a bunch of flowers. So, it's going to be very abstract. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I've got my coffee. And yeah, I'm really excited to do this. I know the end result, and I say it every time. It's probably one of my best pieces, especially in my Pearlescent paint series. If you're really interested to learn more about the paints, then check out the playlist that I've created on my channel, the Pearlescent paint one. I'm going to have, I think in the end, there's going to be about 15 or 16 pieces within that playlist, because I'm experimenting with different techniques and doing completely different creations. So yeah, I'm having so much fun with these. So let's get the base down. And the intention here is to create some flowers. So I'm going to use various techniques, mainly swipe, and I'm going to blow out some paints with my mouth. So I'd love for you to stick around, see how this process evolves, and I guarantee, well, I'd like to think I could guarantee, but I really love for you to stick around because the end result is breathtaking. Out of this world kind of, I can't believe this is what I've created. So yeah, I'll let you be the judge of that, but let's go through the process. So as you can see, with Pearlescent paints, when you mix them up, so I've got a pouring medium that I mix up with my paints, 1 part paint to 3 parts pouring medium, everything looks white. So you're going to have to keep an eye when you're mixing your paints what colour it actually is. Some of them you can actually see a shimmer in the paints. But for ease, the stirrer that I'm used to mix my paints up with, it's just like a wooden, like a lolly stick, a popsicle stick. I literally write the colour on that stick just to kind of remind me what colour that I'm working with. So I'm starting off with the green colour, and I'm almost this is going to be kind of like a layering effect. So I'm adding the green first, which would be the stems of the flowers or the leaves of the flowers. And I'm just swiping that out to kind of get that down on the base. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each colour in turn and add some lines. I'm going to add some blobs of paint as well, so I can blow those out as the flowers. And then towards the end of the video, you'll see that I add some extra details whilst the paint is wet. I add in the details to add some texture and some depth to those flowers, so the whole piece looks like a 3D effect. You'll see what I mean as I go through the process. But yeah, first of all, I'm just taking the green and adding it as like the stem. You'll also see that I'm using different width paper. So this is toilet paper, and this is what I use for my swipes. But by using different widths will allow me to create different depths and different movement as I add the paints to the canvas. So that's why you'll see me switch up the paper that I'm using, because by using those different widths will create that kind of effect that you're looking for. And just so you know, I don't work this fast. The video has been sped up in some places. I don't want you to get bored with the process, but I want you to see the full process. So you can see here that I'm adding a little bit of paint at a time and then swiping. But again, this is about using different colours as well. And really, that's intuitive. Use the colours that you're more drawn to. Use the colours that you'd like to add to your piece. You don't always have to add all the colours that I'm using. But all the colours, just so you know, are listed in the description box below. Check out the description box because that also includes other information like the ratios used for the mixing, the size of the canvas, and so much more. So when you're swiping, don't apply too much pressure. Just allow your paper to sit on top of the paint that you've added, and then just pull it in the direction that you want it to go in. There's no need to really press down hard on this, and that's really why I use toilet paper. It's quite a delicate tool to use to swipe, but it just means that I don't press too hard. I allow the paper to sit on top of the paint and flow on top of the paint and across the canvas as I drag it in that one direction. Okay, so I think I've got all the background on that I want before I add the flowers. But I'm just going to add the bottom piece now. So this is where all the stems would meet, maybe with some paper wrapped around it as a bunch of flowers, or it could just be the stems, all different colourful stems. I know stems are normally green, but as I said, this is abstract, so we can pick whatever colours we want, right? So yeah, I'm just having a little bit of fun. I'm just adding all those colours. I'm using my stick to create the lines. And I'm not going to really do too much with that because I want them to stay as lines. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the flowers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to puddle small puddles of paint to start the flowers. And I'm literally going to use my mouth to blow out those puddles. It's a very delicate piece. You don't want too much paint. But by blowing it with your mouth, you can control how much you blow. Therefore, it controls how big you want your circles to be. So I'm going to do this with various colours. I'm just adding small puddles, one at a time, or maybe two at a time, and then blowing out the design, stepping back, and then I might add another puddle to the flower, or I might add another couple, just to create that flower look. And you'll see me do this throughout the design. I'm going around the edges first, and then I'm going to add some in the middle. I wanted to show you how to do this and how I approach this. Excuse my face getting in the way, but I think you can see how I approach this by puddling first and then blowing out the design as I go. Before I add further details, I'm just going to show you a close-up now of what I can see. So we've created the background. So we laid our base out, created the background with the stems and added the colours on top. And I really love those lines in the corner that then go into the stems and then out to the abstract flowers that we've puddled. But those flowers I feel need a little bit more detail because I'm thinking when they dry, I want a little bit more depth and texture to them because I really want them to kind of stand out and pop out from the piece itself. So I'm just going to now do an additional process to these flowers and I'll take you through that process now. Okay, so I'm using a poppet. It's just something that I can ensure that I just drip some of the white paint on. You'll see that it allows small drips of paint out. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to drip some paint around the edges and in the middle of the flower. And then what I'll do is I will take a palette knife and I'm also almost going to flick those into the center and create some lines. So you'll see here, I'm just putting some of the white paint, some of the pearlescent white around the edges of each of the flowers. And then I'll show you how we can flick some of that paint into the middle. Quite softly, you don't have to do it harsh, but it's going to create that depth and that detail when it dries. So now using the edge of my palette knife, you'll see that I start where I've dripped the white paint and I'm literally drawing lines into the center or along the edge. You can do that with every one of those flowers and that's really going to be the thing that creates the depth within those flowers. So using the drops of paint on the edges, taking your palette knife and just drawing lines across those flowers. And I guarantee when it dries, you'll get that depth effect for each of those flowers that you've created. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. I'm going to leave this to dry. Let's see the magic happen. Let's see how it turns out. I have an idea of the colours and the flowers and how the flowers are going to turn out. But let's see how this overall design dries. And as I said, I think it's one of my best. Here we go. So, a bunch of flowers created using the pearlescent paints, abstract flowers, all the lines there at the bottom, merging into the stems and the flowers that we've created. But can you see here how by adding the dots of the white on the edges of the flowers and then using your palette knife to flick those kind of dots and those edges in on themselves really creates that depth. I really love doing that. So I might do some more of this. But yeah, I'm really happy with this design. It's a bit different. So yeah, I'm exploring, I'm experimenting, and I'm having so much fun with these pearlescent paints. and I hope you're enjoying seeing the process of the designs too. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. I'll leave you with some of the details, and I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.